Welcome to Blood in the Snow Radio, where we give you the latest news and interviews with the best in Canadian genre cinema. Here are your hosts, Robert Bellamy and Festival Director Kelly Michael Stewart.
And welcome to the very first episode of Bits Radio, Blood in the Snow Radio. We are now on air on our podcast. We have Kelly Michael Stewart here. He is the founder and creator of Blood in the Snow, aren't you?
Yes.
And
Very excited to be here with this. Yeah.
You've now created a new show with Bits Radio.
Yeah. Well, I think that where that all came about was we really look at the festival now as a year-round enterprise. Our goal is, our mandate is to help filmmakers not just during the fest but all year round. And so we've been trying new avenues in the last couple of years to branch that out. The first thing we did was Bits TV, which is a TV show that we've been airing on Bell 5 TV1, and we're in our second season. And then we branched into DVD distribution and teamed up last year with Black Fawn Distribution to do the Bloody Bits compilation. And we have a channel on IndieView, like that for a lot of the Bits alumni filmmakers, so you can stream it on there. And then now we've been talking for a couple of years now about doing a podcast show, and that's came up with Bits Radio. And we knew your work, Robert, with the movie Madhouse, and you've been a big part of what we've been doing for our festival, a big supporter of it for the last couple of years. And you were out at the festival last year and recording it. And we had talked about it before, but this seemed like the right time to finally get this on our way.
That sounds perfect. Yeah. That way we can push all the Southwestern Ontario talent that is out there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, filmmakers like all across Canada. We'll be throughout the year. We'll be doing regular shows, and then we'll also, attending. Right now, we're actually at. We should mention that we're at Shockstock.
Exactly, in London, Ontario.
Yeah, and so this is what we're going to do. This is obviously a big hub of Canadian horror filmmakers, and so we're here to kind of launch Bits Radio and talk to some of the filmmakers and the organizers here this weekend. And we'll be at. We play a big part of different conventions throughout the year, and so we're going to try and do things at different things throughout the year, and people can come on and talk to us and find out what they're doing, and that's really important. It's just that because it is a year-round thing. I mean, one thing that filmmakers tell me after they've played not just our fest but any fest is like, well, then now what? Now what do I do?
Yes.
And kind of thing. And the thing is too is the distributors you can't wait for distributors to do your marketing for you. And you have to be constantly getting press and doing marketing. And by having our own podcast is having it basically built-in media.
Exactly.
We have a media component now that we can actually, we can control the content and put it all together so people that come to the festival can follow it all year round and find out what we're working on. That's why it's really great to get to these kinds of conventions like Shockstock, because people do fly in from all over. I was just talking to Samantha Mack across the hall here, and she's here from this Shockstock, and she was in a film, No Pets Allowed, that played at Bits a couple of years ago.
Oh, wicked!
Yeah, I think that too. So it's it's funny, and so you get people from all across Canada, these kinds of things,
and they are still hard at work. You're right. Everybody treats it as the festival comes out, but there is 11 other months in the year where we can now help push what they're doing. So Blood in the Snow, we're still a bit off, but it's still a work in progress. What's new so far with Blood in the Snow?
Well, we're going into year 6, and we're moving to the Royal this year. We were at Cineplex last year, and it went well, but it wasn't really us kind of thing. I think we had a really good attendance and really good vibe and everything, but we just kind of felt like the Royal seemed like a better fit for us for this year, and it's actually a bigger theater than what we had last year. We were 280 there, and then we're at 380 at this one. That's 100 more.
Nice.
Because we were selling out the last screening, even though it was our first year there. Our last screening sublet, we were turning away people at the door for our last screening. So it was pretty intense. So yeah, we're moving to the Rover, and then we're going to have our after parties and industry stuff at the Monarch Tavern.
Okay.
So this is all on College in the Little Italy. So November 23rd to 26th. So we're pretty excited about that. It'll be 10 programs, and we'll have about 4 panels. And we'll have our usual, after parties and all that kind of stuff that goes on with it. And
yes.
Yeah, we'll be setting up Bits Radio as well. We're looking just at that, so we'll be talking to filmmakers throughout the fest there.
So I imagine now submissions are now just starting to come in.
Yes, yeah, on Film Freeway. We just did it's funny, you have all these different names for there's the sneak peek, and now we're into the early bird submissions. Basically just different, because obviously the earlier you submit, the cheaper it is, something like that. And also I should mention too, like we try and keep the submission fees low, and we keep the submission fees low. We're a nonprofit organization, so everything goes back into the running of the festival. Like that. No one's getting rich off of filmmakers, and unfortunately, a lot of not so great festivals do that. They take their submission fees and don't even watch the movies. We watch every single film that comes in. So
I remember talking with Kirk and Jason about that, and you guys sit down to make sure, like even those last minute ones, you will find time to screen them, so they give them their judgment, like their good due.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We kind of, and also too is like when the films come in too, we even if they don't get in, we try and keep an eye on them for other stuff, because you're not going to just make one film likely. You're going to be making a lot of different things. And so we want to, keep an eye on them. Because a lot of times filmmakers won't get in, and maybe they'll kind of be bubbling, I call bubbling under, like they almost got in, and we'll keep an eye on them. And then when they do the next film comes in, we pay even more attention and kind of go, oh, okay. There's been a few filmmakers like that where they took a couple of times. And also too, we can't play the same filmmakers every year. Some of them, we have them one year and then not another year, and it's nothing personal. Just we've only got so many slots.
Now sitting here with Jake from
Shockstock.
Yes.
Please forgive my soulful voice today. I'm a little hoarse.
Yeah.
It is now day 2 of Shockstock, so of course I am completely wasted away.
Yeah.
The voice is the first casualty, always.
Yeah.
How's it going for you so far?
No, the sanity is the first casualty.
Okay, yeah.
You know what? Don't ask me. Ask all the people here,
Yeah.
We got a great crowd. Everybody seems to be really enjoying the new venue, really enjoying the atmosphere that we've created here. So, and by we, I mean, I don't mean we, us. I mean we, everyone, you, the great vendors, the great fans, everybody, they've really come together.
Well, give us for people who don't know, can you give a bit of a background, Shockstock, and how did you move from where you were before to here now?
Shockstock started about 7 years ago. We originally did off-site events at Fan Expo. We did off-site screenings, celebrity appearance screenings and stuff, using the guests, and we would co-organize with the big convention. We do they bring in cast of demons. We do a demon screening. We used to book 35mm prints. Right. We booked our own guests at Fan Expo, or at a bigger convention, and it was really successful. So we said, why are we doing it for someone else? Let's do it for ourselves. We called all our vendor buddies that we were neighbors with for years and years and said, hey, if we do this standalone show focused only on horror and cult films and exploitation drive-in stuff, what do you think? And they were like, yeah, this would be amazing. Let's do it. And then everyone was like, you got to do it in Toronto. And then we looked at the numbers of Toronto. Toronto's ridiculous. I was like, well, we're going to do it in London. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of show where if you're a fan, you make the trek. It's the Mecca. You know what I mean? Like, if you do it in Toronto, it's just another thing to do in Toronto this weekend,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for us, it's like it's kind of the road trip is almost like part of it. Like, we're all from Toronto and coming in kind of, and it's not that far away. It's not that bad. So it's a nice balance. Yeah,
exactly. And
2 hours.
We do. Us, the scumbags, we do a trip twice a year down to Ohio for a show called Cinema Wasteland, and it's the same thing. We're like, if we go down there, you're committing your time. You're there for the show. You know what I mean? And it's not a casual show. It's a weekend long show. There's content constantly running.
Yeah.
There's fans. It's like a big family reunion. And that was like, that's what we need to do. So we started Shockstock, and it was difficult because we couldn't get a hotel to give us a deal included with a ballroom, included with everything.
Yeah.
Right? So we were at Centennial Hall, and they were great to us. Centennial Hall is fantastic. Forever grateful for Centennial Hall. But there was no way for us to leverage renting the space with hotel rooms. So we had kind of 2 deals on the go, and there was no break because it wasn't one purchase one, get the other one.
Right.
So it was expensive.
Yeah.
It was always expensive. and we were always looking at ways to chop the budget. But luckily, you know, like we were smart, and we keep it affordable, which, you know, means that we don't really make any money, but we don't lose any money.
Yeah.
Until the last 2 years, the city would shut events down. They would shut us down basically by blocking us out. They would close the streets down around the hall, you know, for marathons and hockey tournaments and all this stuff. And like with no notice, it would totally crush us. You know, crush the attendance. It looks bad. All the vendors, you know what I mean, they're still having a good time because it's still that kind of party vibe.
Yeah, but they know it's,
But everybody's like, well, this isn't, you know, it's not what it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, there was a few years it kind of started slow. It built up, and then it kind of started going, well, it's no good.
Right.
So we need to shake things up. So we started looking at places, and, you know, we talked to the Ramada. The square footage of here is around the same, but it's not one big room like Centennial Hall was. We got a few different rooms happening, but we got the whole hotel. So
well, I mean, my take on it has always been, I've been coming to Shock since year 2, and the thing I always tell people when I'm talking to them about it is like, don't come up for the day, come up for the weekend, because it's like because you know, it's not the biggest convention, so you kind of do a quick walk around 20 minutes. And people who don't know might, that's it, and it's like, no, you got to do the whole weekend, because it's more of an. It's the offsite parties, it's the screenings, it's the panels, it's all the bands playing, all those kinds of things. Like it's not one thing, and it's kind of a 24/7 thing for those 3 days.
That's right.
And you have to kind of do it. So when you were moving to the Ramada Inn, everyone looked at each other and went, "Oh yeah, this is the way to go.
Yeah,
exactly. This is totally it." And totally that, because then it really does become we're almost like a resort. It's
exactly.
Like
that's what we did. Was we made like the quote unquote like the vacation package, where if you want to buy your weekend pass, like we bought the whole hotel. We bought 99% of the rooms,
right,
at a really good rate, so that we could say, you buy the room at the good rate, and that pretty much pays for your pass for the weekend as well, and it makes it super affordable. And if you cram 4 people in your room, that's even more affordable.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it's like a resort package.
Yeah.
You know, and it was really successful. We sold the hotel out, and everybody's here for the same reason. So there's no conflict of interest. There's no, you know, hockey team at the end of the hall that's complaining that. You know what I mean? And this is the essence of what this show has been, but this is the first year where I think it's actually lived its identity.
Exactly.
This is what you've been building for.
This is what we've been building for.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still new because this is the first year of this happening. But but if you want to call this the first year, it's a pretty good first year.
Yeah.
And I think next year, I mean, I could probably tell people tomorrow, hey, do you want to book your room for next year? I don't think I'll have a single person say no.
No.
You know what I mean? Even you just say, hey, do you want a room? Because there's people that regret. I'm sure I've met a few people here that are like, how do I get a room? And I'm like, rooms are sold out, dude.
Yeah.
Because everything is within eyeshot. You know, you go from this room to the other room. Like, I guess this is the fun room, and then there's the celebrity room.
Right.
The celebrity room is also fun.
It's also fun, too.
There's a kill cabin in there.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, you can get in the kill cabin. It's like a free photo op booth.
Yeah.
But you just get in there. There's a dead corpse and a bunch of cleavers and bloody stuff, and you can pull the body apart, and you can take pictures free. You can go in there.
Yeah.
How's that not fun?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Sorry about the voice.
No, it's added something.
It's added something.
Cool.
It's got some intensity.
You didn't let me finish. Sorry about the voice, because I'm actually going to be singing tonight.
Goodness.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a show you're not going to want to miss.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And we now have the privilege of sitting here with Mitch Markowitz. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm thoroughly enjoying my visit to Stock Shock here in London, Ontario.
This is your first time here, isn't it?
Not first time in London. I headlined the Forest City Comic Con the first year.
Okay.
And that was a whole lot of fun. And now I'm serious, and now I'm back in London again. But it's my first time at Stock Shock, yes.
What do you think of the ambiance here, like just the general?
Oh, I love it. I'm having a blast. I love I know most of the people here, the vendors and like that, because we're all sort of on the same circuit and we keep running into each other on other shows. But and it's funny because I always go home with nothing, no money. regardless of what I get paid, I leave it here with the vendors because they have all got such great stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So now you're here at Shockstock for your connection to House of Frightenstein.
Well, actually, I'm here for two reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'm
right.
here
Sorry.
because clearly I co-produced and co-starred in the hilarious House of Frightenstein with Vincent Price.
Yes.
And I'm also here with Human Cattle,
That's right.
Carlos's new movie, and Phil's new movie. And I'm co-starring in that with a monster called the Frog God.
Frog God.
Yeah, it's enough to scare the shit out of you.
Just the name.
Yeah, and so we're promoting that. It's a work in progress. They've put together a sizzle reel, as we say in the industry, to go out and get financing, which won't be a problem, I'm sure, because Carlos already has investors who want to put some money into a horror movie, and this promises to be a great one. He does great work.
Oh, yes.
The special effects in this thing are fabulous, like they blow people's heads off, and another one, there's a little guy in the movie who has a shotgun, he blows somebody's arm off, and all kind of wonderful special effects. So
Nice.
I'm looking forward to doing the rest of it as soon as they get a green light to move forward.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you actually have the head sitting over there.
That would be the Frog God.
Yes.
Yes.
I wandered by it. I didn't get to look at it, but I'm going to go back.
Well, I got to tell you, this is the first show I think I've ever shared a table with a Frog God.
You know,
You might be the first ever.
that's true.
I'm not real happy being upstaged by it either.
Yeah.
You know, people come by and they're looking at that thing. And I'm over here. And I produced a television show. I starred with Vanessa Redgrave in a feature film. I got lots of credits. They're stopping looking at this fucking frog.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand being a little turked about being upstaged by that.
By the way, I'm very excited about getting involved with Blood in the Snow, and I got an invitation yesterday.
We'd love to have you out.
And I'm really looking forward to that.
I just want to tell you too. I'm also a film producer, and I produced a film called Late Night Double Feature a little while ago. That just came out and in distribution. And I just want to tell you that hilarious House of Frightenstein was a huge influence on kind of the look and feel of the, because it takes place at a late night horror show and has that kind of and we it was something, it was a show that I obviously grew up on, and we kind of there's just certain elements of it that just that we're fans of, that kind of that were kind of there for.
It's enough to give me a wonderful, warm feeling inside, deep inside, when I hear from people like you, and you're in real good company. I mean, you may or may not know, but our show inspired the likes of Mike Myers and Jim Carrey and the SCTV gang and John Candy and Alice Cooper and you, and that's a really nice feeling. Ghoulish Gary Pullen, who did the Frightenstein poster, tells everyone that he grew up watching our show, and he claims it was his entry drug into horror, into the world of horror.
Well, yeah, it was, because especially for me, when Vincent Price, not just with that show, but also other things, he had already kind of left feature films, or about to at that point, and he'd become more of an icon, and kids like myself was seeing him on Love Boat and Hollywood Squares and like that, and then you'd see him on Hilarious House, and that was, so it was kind of like that was my entry as well into that world. But it's interesting, I read that he was only on set like 3 days.
Actually, how we hired Vincent was even a funny story, so I'll start it there.
Okay.
We knew, my brother and I produced Frightenstein together, but he had produced a number of shows prior to that for CHCH TV. And we knew they had sort of a hole in their afternoon programming, and they didn't have a real great kid show at the time. So we went in and pitched Frightenstein to the station manager, Sid Bibby, and he sort of liked it, and he was, sort of liked it and kind of ambivalent, and said, let me think about it. And we knew when we left the building that we hadn't closed the sale, if you will. So we went home and, back to the office and kicked it around a little bit, set up another appointment with Sid. We went back in and said, listen, what would you say if we said we could get a real-life, big-time Hollywood movie star, horror movie star, to host the show? And Sid said, well, like who? And my brother, just from out of nowhere, like he reached into the air and said, well, how about Vincent Price? And Sid said, listen, if you could get Vincent Price to come and star in a show on our little station in Hamilton, Ontario, I'd sign right here right now for 130 hour-long episodes. And, of course, we went with a contract in our back pocket. So we pulled it out. He signed it. Then all we had to do was get Vincent Price.
Yeah, that's all.
Now, to speed the story along, once we had Vincent Price, and one of the ways we managed to get him was we said, we'll get you in and out of town in 2 days.
Right.
Because he could take 2 days off for the set, for the film he was shooting at the time. And we really thought we could get him in and out in 2 days. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. We got to the set, and if you recall, Vincent looked like he was standing on a balcony at the time.
Yes, yeah.
And I was lying on the ground below him, and at the time I was handing up whatever prop I thought was appropriate for him to use in the next bit, whether it was a long hand or a sword or whatever. So we got about 15 minutes into the shooting. I was on the set, Vincent was on the set, my brother was directing, and at the time, CHCH didn't have a real director's booth. They had a booth inside a bus parked in the parking lot.
Okay.
So my brother, after about 50 minutes, got on the PA and said, Vincent, Mitch, we have to have a meeting. Came running out of the bus and onto the set. 3 of us got into a huddle, looks Vincent right in the eye, and says, Vincent, you're not scary. We hired you to be scary. And Vincent looks him right back in the eye and says, listen, Riff, if you want me to be scary, you have to write scary. This crap that you wrote, it was cued, it all rhymed, but it's not scary, and I'm not a magician. So we put him on ice. I called the 2 writers we had writing his segments, called them back in, pointed to a room over there and said, now listen, you got to rewrite all 130 episodes of Vincent Price's bits, and you're going to do it in that room, and until you're finished, there's no toilet breaks and there's no food. So they went in the room, and we did lock the door.
Wow.
And 24 hours later, there was a big bang on the door, and we opened the door, and they came out. They had rewritten all 130 episodes, no sleep, no bathroom, and no food.
Oh, wow.
They ran to the bathroom first, came back. We had a plate of sandwiches ready for them before they died. And the rest is history. They wrote some scary stuff. Vincent added his own touch of horror to it.
Yeah.
And it worked.
That is awesome.
I heard he showed up with a couple of cases of beer or something like that. I'm not
No,
sure.
he didn't show up with it. What happened was we had him taken to the set in a limo.
Right.
And this is unusual because I've worked with lots of big celebrities over the years. And generally speaking, most of them, if they're going to buddy up with anybody, they buddy up with other people in the cast, not the crew. They quite often just ignore the guys, the grips, and the cameramen, the audio men. Vincent was such a mensch, as we say.
Yeah.
He walked onto the set. He walked over and introduced himself to each and every guy in the crew. Then he stood and posed for an individual photograph with each guy so they'd really have something tangible to hold for the rest of their life.
Wow.
Then he excused himself and said, I'll be back in 20 minutes. And he had his driver take him over to the closest beer store. He came back with 2 cases of 24 cans of beer, or bottles of beer.
Yeah.
And then they all raised a bottle and had a beer together, which
That's
was
awesome.
sort of a bonding, if you will, with the cast. And at that point, he could have just asked for anything. And they,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll shine your shoes. I'll go get you, anything.
Yeah.
And see, that cements it for me because I'm also in filmmaking, and your show was the first one that inspired me that you could do it and have fun.
Yeah.
Because watching that show, it was a blast on my end.
You know what? It's funny that you say have fun because I'm asked all the time at interviews, whether it's print or electronic or whatever, what was the most fun about the show? What was the best part? And I tell them in all honesty, the truth is, there was no fun. It was, when Martin Scorsese interviewed Robbie Robertson when they were shooting The Last Waltz, and he said, why did you guys get off the road? And Robbie looked at him and said, we were on the road for 16 years, and I got to tell you, it's a goddamn miserable way of life when he was with the band,
I've heard that, yeah.
And the truth of the matter was, what would have taken any normal production company 4 years to produce, we did in 9 months, complete.
Wow.
The pre-production, the production, and the post-production. So it was like an impossible feat. So there was no fun involved. The fun has been for the last 45 years since we finished and wiped our hands, and now I get the laughs out of going and doing these Comic-Cons and festivals all around North America. and get to talk to fans. The pressure's off. The show's done. It's in the can.
wow.
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you can breathe. You know?
And it must feel nice to have it has had this legacy, because if for a long time you couldn't find the show for a little while, like it was just like I actually there was talk like it was, then suddenly the DVDs came out, and that seemed to be like really kind of I mean, you still see reruns for a while, but then it kind of faded like in the 90s.
You
and then, if I'm correct on that, but then
You're
the
right.
DVDs
I'm going to jump on a couple of words you said,
Yeah.
came out. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I came out about 6 or 7 years ago. Prior to that, I didn't have anything to do with Frightenstein. And the reason was there were rumors abounding all over the place that the producers had erased all of the videotapes.
Yes, yeah, I heard that
Now,
story.
of course,
yeah.
that's bullshit.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if I can say fuck,
Well,
I can
obviously,
say
yeah,
bullshit.
it's, yeah.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
bullshit, because there was no reason for us to erase anything.
Right.
There was a reason back in those days for a television station to erase the tapes, because they were on that big 2 or 3 inch videotape.
right.
Very, very expensive stuff.
Right.
And it can be reused, right?
Right.
You erase it and reuse it. And if you recall, over the last 45 years, CHCH has been through 3 different owners. So as an example, when the Global people bought it originally, they came in with 2 big steel dumpsters, went into the archives and just dumped everything they had in there.
Oh, wow.
Because they wanted to rebrand it a global station, part of the Global network.
Right.
So we didn't erase anything.
Right.
But those were the rumors. And needless to say, I'm not John Lennon.
Yeah.
And I don't think I am. I have no delusions of grandeur. But I kept thinking about that insane lunatic, John David Chapman, who took out our hero, everybody's hero, John
Right.
Lennon.
Right.
And I thought, with all the people out there who think we erased those tapes, I'm going to walk into some Lugan somewhere on the street who's
Yeah.
going to go pop, and that's going to be the end of me. I finally came out about 6 years ago, I guess. There was a reunion, not a reunion, but a festival,
Yeah.
a Frightenstein festival. And I said, I'm not going. My sister went. And she called me afterwards and said, Mitch, you wouldn't believe this. Those fans are incredible. A lot of them came dressed as Frightenstein characters, and they all talked like the characters, and they loved that show. And you're insane. You got to come out of the closet. So I came out of the closet, and ever since then, I've been working all the festivals and cons
Right,
and
yeah.
all that other stuff
Yeah.
on both sides of the border. And I'm so happy I did, because I love talking to the fans, and I love asking, where did you first watch the show? And I get some weird answers. I've talked to people who watched it in Madrid, in Spain. Another gal who watched it in Norway. I got an email from somebody recently who watched it in Australia. So I can bond and connect with all these people, where I couldn't when I was in the closet saying, I don't know anything about Frightenstein. I wasn't there.
That
So
wasn't me.
were you behind then? Like were they had to be restored at all, or was those prints like that you see on the DVDs and on TV now? Were they
it's a
because it was like faded copies you were seeing for a long time, and then suddenly everything was all clean.
Yeah, it's a very long story,
Yeah,
but there
yeah.
were. Showcase ended up with a set.
Right.
And
yeah.
the story was they had gotten rid of them. They had dumped them, but the truth is somebody interceded and got them, and that. I now own the rights again, so the rights are back in the family, and I'm working very hard on a daily basis to A, get the old series back on the air, B, the possibility of a reboot. And what I would do with the reboot, assuming I can sell it, is I'll sort of mix the old and the new. I'll take the old original shows and have the Count and Igor working on a time machine. And of course, everything the Count touched, he fucked up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be clear. It would be all staticky and hash and this and that. But he would eventually fine-tune it enough to look into the future. And then he would see his great-great-great-grandson, who would be the reboot Count
That's
and the
awesome.
reboot Igor, and they would create their time machine that they would then fuck up. But eventually they'd be able to look back and see the original Count, and I'll use the original video from the old show and have somebody voice Billy's part as the Count,
Right.
and then he can say what I want him to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to bring in the old fans and the new fans,
yeah.
because when I do shows like this one, we're at in London, Ontario, at Shockstock. And when I run into fans like the ones I'm running into here, I'm now seeing and talking to three generation of Frightenstein fans. The original people watched the show in the early 70s. Their kids watched the reruns 20-odd years later, and now their grandchildren are watching it on Netflix or DVDs or on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. I'm working on a reboot. I'm working on... there's a set of Frightenstein albums coming out sometime in the fall. And lots of stuff in the works. We're working on a documentary, as a matter of fact, which will be really cool because we'll interview all the people the show inspired, including...
I would love to be in on that, by the way.
And
Yeah.
And I think that will probably get us into film festivals all around the world, especially with the title I've come up with, because if we just called it a Frightenstein documentary, I mean, I don't kid myself. Frightenstein is not Campbell's soup. But the name I've come up with is, in very, very small type, it would say, in 1970, a small independent TV station in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, wanted to produce a pseudo-horror kids TV show. ... And then in huge screaming letters, it will say, and Vincent Price said yes. And I think, so what the public will do is they'll abbreviate it to, and Vincent Price said yes.
Yeah.
And that name, I think, will open lots and lots and lots of doors at film festivals.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I absolutely do.
I would be interested in it.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's that's fantastic. You know, actually, I think I could see a real market for it too, because I just recently watched the reboot of Mystery Science 3000 on Netflix. And
What's old is new again.
Yeah, and they're showing the
huge.
old episodes and they're doing the new, and they did it in such a clever way that they definitely modernized it, but definitely made it for the old fans of the show as well, kind of thing like that. So I could totally see that happening.
By the way, for some of your fans that are listening, more recently than Frightenstein, a couple of years ago, I did a movie with Academy Award winner Vanessa Redgrave. Rue Morgue Cinema produced a film called The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee. And I co-starred with her in that, and I was real proud of that. That was a great movie.
I've seen that movie. It's fantastic.
Won, like, I don't know, 30, almost 40 awards at film festivals internationally. Premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. So it was a real... I've got that poster laminated on the wall in my office.
Yeah, it's great. No, we Rue Morgue just joined us actually for a sponsor this year. So
really?
We're happy to have them on board.
Rod's an old friend of mine, and Dave.
Yeah.
So that was great fun, and it's no secret, but Vanessa's part and my part in that film were both voiceover. So we weren't really there when Aaron Poole, who carried that film, was doing his thing. They just plugged us in post, as they say.
Fixed it in post.
Well, it happens to the best. That's happened to Christopher Lee on Mario Bava films and things like that. So it does happen. Yeah.
But no, what you've done is amazing.
Thank you.
I do hope that reboot comes around, because that would be wicked to watch. That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and congratulations on The Human Cow. I've got a great screening last night. That was probably one of the biggest reactions I've seen at this convention.
Me too.
Yeah.
It was thrilling to hear the crowd. I mean, you would have to put that under the category of rave reviews.
Yeah.
I mean, they were screaming and yelling and whistling and all that kind of stuff. And that was on a 10-minute sizzle reel, as we say in the industry. That wasn't seeing the whole movie. I can imagine what's going to happen when they see all the whole movie. And the guys behind it, as you know, are special effects experts. So this is going to be loaded full of fires and explosions and all kinds of popping and screaming and yelling and drowning, and it's going to be a fun movie.
I'm anxious.
Yeah.
With or without the popcorn.
Well, a real thrill to have you on the show, and thank
My
you so
pleasure,
much
guys.
for being here.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to seeing you at the festival.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bet.
Ciao.
Ciao.
And now on Bits Radio, CF Benner from Black Fawn Distribution. How you doing?
Good, man. How's it going?
Going great. Like this has been a phenomenal weekend.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. The one thing that we did last year was obviously the Bloody Bits comp, and that we actually need to talk about that too. Maybe not on here, but like,
Yeah.
Eventually, we were supposed to talk about that. I think we might have talked about it last night, but I can't actually remember. So like,
No, we didn't. But that tells you the state of the thing. Or,
There's a couple fuzzy areas.
Let's talk about this right now. It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
No, but like, I mean, that was something we did kind of like at the tail end of 2016. It was really successful, and we're really, really pleased with how it worked out. And hopefully Kelly is as well. But but I mean, obviously that's we kind of build and kind of plan out throughout the winter, right? Because there's not really a lot of stuff going on in the winter, and then we kind of like it's full steam ahead, kind of come April, May. So it's been pretty exciting. Business as usual, but we've got some other people helping us out now too, which is really cool, and just bringing more people into the fold, so to speak, right?
Any little secrets or tidbits you can let us in on?
Okay, so we have Any Social 2 is going to be coming out on May 16th. So that's in a couple weeks. And obviously that's Cody Callahan's sequel to Any Social 1. So that's
you're working. Obviously, then between that and Bite, you're working with United Front Entertainment. Then with all that, like you've got a partnership going on with them, then, or
that's right. So. For some of the films, basically, so Black Fawn Films, which is the production house, they make they make those films with the help of Breakthrough Entertainment, right, which is the studio in Toronto. And then past that, like we were able to negotiate the rights for our DVD and Blu-ray releases through Breakthrough in association with United Front, right? So United Front does a lot of the digital stuff. We kind of came to the table and said, listen, we're really connected to the scene. We do a lot of the conventions, and we kind of have our finger on the pulse in that respect. And we'd like to kind of put stuff out for collectors. Like I'm a collector myself, so I like the product looking a certain way, and I want it to come out a certain way and be marketed a certain way. And UFE does a great job too. It's just sort of like two people kind of working on the same deal, and so it's like I don't know. Many hands make light work, of course, right?
Yes.
So, but it's been really beneficial for sure, and it gives us the opportunity to kind of like take those films that are made, which we actually never really had the opportunity to do before Bite, and actually release them as well through Black Fawn Distribution, which is the sister company. But yeah, so we've really kind of been focusing on putting out the physical product. It's something that we kind of really like to do and enjoy doing, and also as well like giving that back to the community and stuff, right? So it's not necessarily about just putting stuff out that's like going to be in drop bins or grab bags or whatever. Like we really want to put out a really great looking product so people are proud to put it on their shelves, because ultimately it ends up on our shelves as well, and we want those releases to kind of we want those releases to kind of stand alongside those other big Hollywood films that come out, right? So that's just kind of our bag, and that's kind of what we like to do. Even the inside art and stuff, we're just kind of big believers in trying to tie it back to the movie. Obviously, if you look at like the collector's editions and limited editions of like Blu-rays and stuff like that, some of them are pretty intricate, right? So if you're looking at picking up, collector's edition of like Jurassic Park or X-Men or whatever, they put millions of dollars into that packaging. It looks amazing. Obviously, we don't run with those kind of budgets, but there's still things you can do in the artwork process, in the manufacturing process that doesn't really cost a lot of money and can really kind of enhance the product a bit, right? And I just like the fact that things tie together. And sort of relate back to the plot or back to the characters in the film. I just think it's something you can do very easily. You really just need some time to sit around and say, okay, so what are we going to do with this? What makes the most sense? Like what should be on the disc face? What should be under the disc on the trap sheet? And really, if you start brainstorming and watch the movie a couple times, you can really figure out some cool ideas. So yeah,
I think the coolest one that was released like that was Bite. Because you had that big set, and it came with the postcard, signed by Elma, and it came with the little eggs in the package, and it fit the. Oh, and it came with the barf bag.
Yeah.
It fit the movie.
So with Bite, so that's part of our blacklist package. So every Blu-ray we put out, we put together a package which is a blacklist package, which is kind of exclusive to people that want to pick it up. So for the postcards, we had this idea of saying like, oh, we're gonna like come up with. This postcard, there's going to be a fake postcard, and we were going to get Elma to write a personalized note to everyone that ordered it. And it was really successful. So lots of people ordered it, and that was great. But I had to actually go, and I was kind of nervous because I was going to sit down with her beforehand and say, "Hey, Elma, how's it going?" So she was going to write like, to Rob, "Hey, miss you. It's so beautiful down here, Casey." And she was going to sign everyone as Casey, who's the character from the movie. And I was gonna catch her like probably just sit down with her and just say hey, or with her and Chad and just say hey, can you mind filling these out? Just somewhat chill. But I actually had to get her to do it at Fan Expo last year.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, can you fill all these out? And it was like like a whole shitload of them. So she's like, yeah, totally. And she's such a gamer, like she just sat there, and I thought she was just going to, like, I didn't really give her any sort of direction other to say write something cool and here's the list of all the names, because we wanted to do it as a personalized thing. And she actually wrote something different for every single person. So she wouldn't just said, yeah, it was crazy. And I was like, are you okay with this? Like, I just feel like this is one of those things where, like, as soon as you get done, you're going to leave. It's like...
I'm not surprised by that, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've learned this with doing, like, the red carpet photos for Blood in the Snow, is that in all reality, you know, the actors that we are working with, so a lot of them get to do it professionally, but all of them... Well, they're all professionals, but they also have other jobs sometimes too, and or they're new to the industry. You know what I mean, like that kind of thing. And what I love when we're doing the red carpet, and we're doing the photos and stuff, and sometimes we do signings as well, is they, you know, it's their real, it's their entrance into being a star. I mean, I kind of like that, because I mean now, I've seen her in toothpaste ads and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, at the time. So she's done a lot more things since then. At the time, she was kind of a newbie, and it was kind of like, so I think it's kind of like, it's special because you're getting like, wow, you're actually getting to write, because every actor dreams of that, to be able to to take photos with people and to sign autographs and stuff like that. That's what they dream about.
I think it's a testament to the people that actually do really want to get involved and really want to go the extra mile. I think that works really well. I mean, I can't stress that enough. And it's not just because we benefit from it, and we do, but the community benefits from it, right? And I think that, basically, we live sort of by like two rules, and that's just like, be cool, don't be an asshole.
Right.
And that's really all you need to do, right? And for me, like, actors and actresses that really kind of commit to that sort of, or a variation on that, I think are the most successful. I think they're the most approachable. I think people like talking to them, and then we'll support them. And I feel like sometimes, like, a lot of, especially like you mentioned, like actresses or newbies that are getting kind of into the industry or just starting in the industry, like, people have these aspirations of like becoming like, you know, this massive star, and we all do. Like, that's the dream, right? So but at the same time, it's like, don't put the cart before the horse, right? Like, you have to work, you have to contribute, you have to put in the time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears to kind of get something done.
We had CKX last week, and Corin Nemitz was on, okay, from Parker Lewis and Stargate and all that.
Yeah.
I watched Stargate, and I watched a couple Parker Lewis just to get ready for him.
Yeah.
Well, after being with him that weekend, I want to go see some stuff that he's done. I want to start looking back because he was so personable. He had a blast with the people.
Yeah.
You know, like you said.
And it's just like, people, like, fans of movies are fans of movies because they love movies, and they want to talk about movies, and they want to, like for me, it's just sort of like, and this is kind of like a revelation I had sort of recently, and is that, you know, I want to watch a movie, and then I want to discuss it. I want to talk about it. I want to debate it. I want to say, you know, this is what I loved about it. This is what I liked about it. This is what I hated about it. They could have done this better, and whatever. And I like talking. Like, I need that in my life. So whether or not it's something we talk about, like, right after you see the film, you go for a drink after the movie or something, or you talk about it on the way home, or you're at a convention like this and you're just shooting the shit back and forth about, like, what movies you liked and what movies you didn't like. Like, for me personally, like, I know a lot of people don't like doing that, which I don't feel are movie fans. They're movie likers, but they're not movie lovers, right? So for me, it's like, I want that. I want to talk about that. And also through those discussions, like, that's when you kind of hear about new shit, right? So you can be talking about this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, like, oh, have you seen this? That's like this movie. Oh, I haven't seen that. Oh, you haven't seen that? Oh, man, you got to see it. And that's how you kind of get into new stuff. Like,
it's always a pleasure chatting with you. Because you said, fans of movies love movies.
No, and thanks a lot for having us on. I know you guys toe the line pretty hard down in Chatham as well, and we are going to make it down there. People of Chatham, I promise, at some time. We just got to wait. We just got to make sure the planets align and, like, that sort of stuff. But I know you guys are huge supporters of us, and same with Blood in the Snow. We've talked about that to death, but but we really appreciate it, and we really do, and we know that, like, we don't have that support, and that we don't take it for granted. We don't count on it, but we really appreciate the fact that people are there kind of promoting us. So it goes a long way, and it means the world to us. So thank you guys.
Hey, my pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Okay.
Have fun at Shockstock.
Thank you, man. Shackstack.
Join us next time for Blood in the Snow Radio. Bits Radio is a production of Three Evil Cats Productions in association with the Blood in the Snow Canadian Film Festival. For more information and to listen to other episodes, visit bloodinthesnow.ca and tweet us at BitsFilmFest. Music by Jen Gorman, produced and edited by Kelly Michael Stewart. I am Eduardo Correa Lima. Till next time.